Previously, I don't know how to write a script and also the criteria needed, but this time I know the scenes and the characters and the physical and the emotional action that should be written in the script play.
Even with the camera, how to set up the camera, how to set up the camera angle, even about the camera, how to adjust the focus, the resolution, the white balance, even how to just handle the camera before we don't have an idea.
What makes Sandescribe a unique institution is that it consistently strives to improve the quality of filmmaking in Ethiopia through knowledge transfer between established international filmmakers and aspiring film artists in Ethiopia. I am one of such artists who have greatly benefited from Sandescribe's programs.
I'm Director of Film and Media Initiatives at Wagner College. I have a long history and background in the motion picture business, and I met Professor Thomas last year.
So I'm a professor of English at Wagner College. This is my second year here.
And we began to talk about what he was doing in Ethiopia.
I started working with people in Ethiopia after I met DhabaFull16, who is a journalist for Voice of America. He came to He came to the United States from Ethiopia in 1994, I think, 1995. I'm not sure.
I came to the United States in 1995. I studied film at Howard University, both undergraduate and graduates. Back in Ethiopia, I used to write stage plays and novels. I wrote and produced 5 stage plays and published 2 novels without any formal or professional training. So as I started new life in United States, I was challenged by the memory of the life I left behind. My heart broke for those young people who always had a dream to be writers, producers, cinematographers, but end up without achieving anything because of mainly the lack of skill training in Ethiopia. So my heart was filled with such an urge of calling, or I can say responsibility, to create an opportunity for those young people. That was how I established Sandescribe Communications. Then along the way, I met Steve Thomas at a conference.
It was a conference about Oromo culture in Minneapolis. So I was teaching in Minnesota at the time. And I was giving a presentation about the future, what I was imagining at the time as the future of artistic, literary, imaginative, cultural relationships between U.S. culture and Ethiopian culture, and specifically Oromo culture. And I was talking about a short film that he had made. He was in the audience at the time. So I'm talking about his movie. He comes up to me after my presentation and says, "Hi, I'm Dhaba. I was just talking about his film."
Then we started talking, and I told him about the lack of training in filmmaking and other media production in Ethiopia.
He said, there's no film school in Ethiopia. It doesn't exist. There is a lot of people who would like to make films, but the film industry is really struggling to get off the ground.
We started brainstorming on what we can do together. That was in 2009, 2 years after Sandescribe was established. We began by scriptwriting workshop through Skype communications, regardless of some technical difficulties. It went very well.
Every morning for a month, I would wake up at about 7 in the morning and go to my office, turn on the computer, and it would just be me staring at a computer screen, hoping that the internet connection was going to make it so that a class of about 30 or some students back in Ethiopia could actually talk to me. And we'd go over TV script writing. What's really exciting about that class, though, is that after I did the script writing workshop, the students in Ethiopia continued on their own to workshop their scripts and practice writing for a few months. And then they had a competition to choose the best script. A team from Hollywood, under the guidance of a guy named Guy Moon, came over to Ethiopia and brought some people from the United States with him. And then they made a movie out of one of the scripts that came out of that workshop. And so then they were learning film techniques and editing and stuff like that. And so then that came around. So that was that first class. That was our first attempt.
Then Steve moved to Wagner College in New York.
When I came to Wagner College, 2012, I met Stephen Greenwald, and I introduced Dhaba to Stephen Greenwald.
And then I met with Dhaba with Steve, and they told me about Sanscribe, and
he and I were talking about, our goals and dreams, and Greenwald said, let's take a trip.
There's a great energy there. It's a kind of a frenetic pace out in the streets. It's also the headquarters for the African Union, so it's quite cosmopolitan in that regard. And it was exciting. It was exciting to be there, and everybody was very helpful and open and responded very positively to us and to what we had in mind and what we wanted to do.
We met a lot of young people who are, anywhere between the ages of 20 and 35, who are really, have this burning desire to make films that talk about issues that are going on in Ethiopia, that express their culture, that, do this. And so that's really kind of what we're all about.
Students at Sanscribe were doing a variety of things. They were learning how to write scripts. They were learning some basic camera work, cinematography. Also, I think some of them are learning directing, editing, so some of the basics.
Yadani? Yadani? Yadani?
Eessa deemtaa? Ani turuun barbaadu.
Egaa kana booda waan inni siin jedhu dhaggeeffadhu.
Ay, ani turuun barbaadu. Na dhiisi. Ani rubuun barbaadu. Ani siin barbaadu.
Kanaa booda gooftaa koo itti jiraatta. Harka koo irra jirta.
Lakki. Ani harka Waaqayyoo keessa hin jira. Maaloo Waaqayyoo ishee. Natti siqin.
Na ajjeesuuf barbaadda? Kiristaanaan kiristaanummaan kee maaliree? Atis tokkuma jechuudha.
Lakki.
I did get to learn how to be an actress for the first time in a short film, Yadani, which was made during a workshop conducted by Sanscribe in collaboration with a team of experienced American film experts.
I have made a number of TV and radio commercials. Now I'm producing a serial drama entitled with Ebo, which is literally translated to test, of about 80 episodes. Soon it will come to you on Oromia Radio and Television Organization.
The training also really triggered me to question myself how to contribute in developing creative works here in Ethiopia, specifically in Afan Oromo. I'm really very much triggered and initiated I can say, inspired to have my own share here for my society.
What makes Sunscribe different is that they focus on educational films, which our country needs a lot. Because now more and more films are being produced. If you travel around the city of Addis, you'll see movie houses, lots of films you might have noticed, locally made, but they're all just like soap operas, nothing more. And our youth need to learn something.
That has been my desire and dream for many years, and also the desire of many of my friends and colleagues to empower and engage a new generation of filmmakers and other experts of media and the arts, so that they can produce films that have positive social values. Over the years, Sunscribe has collaborated with various local academic institutions like Addis Ababa University and Rift Valley College. We also had collaborated with young people in churches, especially with youth and the children of Biftubole Evangelical Church. We produced 2 videos together that showcased faith-based educational films and music.
I learned a lot, like when you're acting, you have to act as if it's actually happening. You have to show your true emotions. If I were able to teach actors young like me and teach them how later as you grow, when you start to act, the environment around you, what you do, what your lifestyle is like will change. It would be better if they taught the young actors that, and I would love to take a part of it, because those young actors are our future of acting.
We're benefiting a lot through the training that the children received, because they're making skits and dramatic films, short ones, also educational films, like I mentioned about hygiene earlier, and they have produced on a film on personal hygiene, about 70 minutes. Very good. We use it all over the country on how, to keep your personal hygiene. So very, very productive and very helpful.
And when I was there, I met the Sunscribe people. I spoke before a Sunscribe group, and I really got a feel for what they were doing, which is terrific.
To know that my class actually had effects beyond the classroom there, because I'm meeting them face to face, and they can tell me that. Definitely, like one of the highlights of my life, just like.
Looking ahead in the future, one of the major parts of our plan will be to help to give them ideas about establishing educational and training programs for film, which they will then implement in the universities there and the colleges there. And my hope is that in the future, Wagner's film program will integrate and collaborate with the film programs in Ethiopia, so that we can have students go there and work with filmmakers there, and we can bring filmmakers here and collaborate in that way, as well as an exchange of faculty and do some common programs together. So I see a really interesting collaborative future. And Sunscribe would, of course, be an essential part of that.
Sunscribe should continue to work in that area, not only in Addis. Sunscribe should also go to other areas of the country, address the need of the youth in the countryside. Because as far as I'm concerned, I may not be right, but I think there's more potential in the countryside than there is here in the city. So the youth in the rural areas should be given opportunities which requires resources.
Looking ahead to the future is very satisfying, but it opens up some opportunities for us, but opportunity is a little scary.
Yes, opportunities could be scary, especially when you think of challenges that might occur along the way. Of course, as you create new things, you face new challenges. But I believe challenges are schools where you can be molded, shaped, and tempered. In other words, it does not matter how many times you fall down. What matters is how you rise up at the end. I've always preferred to see light behind any darkness.